Hi, and welcome to the weekly book talk here at the Grandview Heights Public Library. My name is Lloyd Grades, and I'm the page and volunteer supervisor here at the library. I normally work in the circulation or the fiction section, as a lot of people refer to it, but today I'm going to be discussing a number of books that we have in our basement or teen area for you. I want to thank you guys for watching. I know we enjoy making these, so I hope you enjoy watching them. Remember, we post these videos every Thursday at 2 p.m. here on our Facebook page. I've got two stacks with me today. One is for grades 4 through 6, and the other stack I have is books for grades 7 through 12. So without further ado, let's get to it. The first, we're going to start with the 4th through 6th grade group, and the first book we're going to go with today is right here, and I hope you guys can see it with the glare from the lights, is this book, Jason Reynolds. It's called Look Both Ways. This book, when it came out in 2019, won numerous awards, was on numerous like best of or must-read lists. As you know, in the last video I did another Jason Aaron book. I just really like his writing. I really think he's a great writer. This book, though, was a National Book Award finalist. The whole idea of Look Both Ways is it's at the end of the school day, and each chapter is a story in of itself, and yet all the stories are interconnected. And I just love books like that. So you can open this book anywhere, you could start at any chapter, you could read just that chapter, and you get a really cool little short story. But if you start the book at the beginning and you read it all the way through, you get this wonderful, you get little bitty stories with one major story kind of interconnecting all of these little stories, which I just think is great. I love that in any book of any kind. One of the biggest imageries in this book that comes through is, and you'll see this quote throughout the book, is school buses falling from the sky, or at least that kind of image. And one of the biggest things on this is look both ways. You can tell that's kind of like, hey, look both ways before you cross the street. But it also involves as the kids are leaving school, getting on the school bus. And what he does in this, and it's also on some of the kids, their walk home from school and through a city block. And it's just great how he explains how the city is. All the kids are in junior high, so they're right at that point. You're out of elementary, but you're not quite high school yet. That was always one of the most roller coaster times, I think, in anybody's life. It was for me. So, you know, it's just every moment is exciting. And like I said, there are 10 tales in this, but the one thing I really like he does in this too is that he explains or shows how a school bus can be so many things, so many different things, excuse me, to so many different people. And the other thing is just in that environment, either on your way home from school or at a school bus, shows the interactions and relationships, not only with the kids and, you know, their friends and fellow students, whether they know each other or it's just a person who's, you know, in their English class or whatever, but also it shows the relationship the person has with themselves and with the environment around them. So it's just really good. Highly recommend it. Our next book on the list, and as you guys know from last ones, I'm a big graphic novel guy. One of the things I liked about this book, I'll give you a quick preview, is part graphic novel, part prose. And I know a lot of prose novels have, you know, pictures in this, but the way this person, they've written for comic books, so I really feel they make use of imagery of a graphic novel, but also prose novel. So anyway, this book is, let me make sure I'm showing you guys. This book is Derby Daredevils. Kinsey kickstarts a team. It's actually the first book in the Derby Daredevils series. This book is written by Kit Rose Walker and illustrated by Sophie Escabasi, I think is how you say her last name. Anyway, Kinsey, the main character, and Shelley, who is Kinsey's BFF, they want to be Derby girls. and Austin City, where the book's located, they open up a junior league for Derby girls. So Shelley and Kinsey then have a week to go recruit 3 other girls because each team needs at least 5 members. And anyway, as they recruit their members, Kinsey begins to notice that, you know, they're treating the other girls that they recruit as their BFFs, but yet Kinsey is also having conflicting feelings that she said, well, wait a minute, even though I like these girls and they're friends and teammates, I thought Shelley and I were BFFs, and now we're kind of all acting like BFFs. And so, and it even gets a little more complicated, and I liked this aspect of it, when Shelley recruits Kinsey's neighbor, who Kinsey has a secret crush on. So, but I kind of like that aspect. I always like a romance angle. So there you go. But anyway, really good. Don't want to give too much away. I also like sports stuff. I was a guy who did not follow and watch a lot of sports, but yet I was very active in sports. And so I kind of like that because I saw a lot of that in these girls. And I kind of like the fact that, you know, what was once deemed obscure sports like roller derby are now becoming more popular, a little more mainstream, you know, to the public and things of that nature. So, plus it's just, you know, fresh and original in my opinion. So, but one of the things I did like about this book too is, you know, Kinsey's neighbor is a girl. And so, once again, you know, during the junior high years, you're exploring, you know, kind of your identity, who you are, not only as a person and a lot of things, but also in terms of romance. And so I like that. I like that they, you know, took on an LGBTQ angle with that. And the other thing that they do involving LGBTQ is that Kinsey's dad also happens to be a transgender dad. And I just really like the way all of that was handled because it's just, you know, it just shows no matter who you are or the type of person you are, we all kind of, you know, Kinsey shows us we all kind of go through a point where we're trying to find ourselves, but, you know, we all put our pants on one leg at a time. So just really thought that was cool. But check it out if you get the chance. Our next book, once again, kind of graphic novel angle, because this is also done, this is written and actually the illustrations are done by the author. They have a graphic novel background, but I kind of like how, and the reason I pick a lot of these books is because you know, comics really made me a reader, and graphic novels made me a reader, and now I read a number of prose novels, but also graphic novels, so I really love it when these things kind of merge together. So, but anyway, getting to this book. This book is called Crush. It's done by Svetlana Komakova, I believe is how you say the last name. Anyway, it is the 3rd book in the Berrybrook Middle School series. And there are currently 4 books in this series, and a 5th, I believe, is on the way. Excuse me. But Jorge, Hispanic boy right here, or George, as we would say in the English translation, he's kind of, I like him in that he's a bully preventer. All the kids here are middle school students, but he's kind of a kid who's big enough that nobody really messes with him, but he's also nice enough and he kind of knows, you know, when to be nice and when to be firm and other things like that. But it turns out Jorge has a crush on a girl from the drama club named Jasmine. And of course, he's always cool in any situation except when she's around. And there he just kind of becomes speechless or tongue-tied even when he does try to talk. But he has a close group of friends, as you can kind of see on the cover there. And one of his friends, Garrett, begins to separate kind of from the group and leaves to be pals with James, who's the top quarterback at the school. And that, in a way, kind of opens up a spot in their social group. And there's a girl in their group named Olivia, and she also happens to be friends with Jasmine. And so then there's a way for, you know, Jasmine to kind of come into the group and how does Jorge handle that? You know, now that, oh, wait a minute, the girl I like and I'm always tongue-tied is now part of my social group and I'm going to be hanging out. And one of the things I like about it is it also shows the different dynamics on how you can still be friends with people, but yet your social group and social dynamics change. So that was really good. And in 2008, they did, for Free Comic Book Day, they did a preview of this, and I just thought it was really good. So there we go. And this is our graphic novel right here for that pick. So definitely worth checking out. Coming up on our fourth and last book for the 4th through 6th grade group is Treasury of Norse Mythology. That's a tongueful. By Donna Jo Nepali and Christina Ballet, who illustrated. This is also done by National Geographic. They help publish this, and I love this because it reminds me of a mythology book I read when I was in junior high called Edith Hamilton's Mythology, and then also one of our newest books, Neil Gaiman sat down and wrote a book about his favorite Norse mythologies. The thing I like most about this book is they break down the stories and they kind of group them together by the Norse families and the hierarchy of the gods. They also tell all the stories in a kind of chronological order of the stories from this particular mythology. And the other nice thing, because it's Nat Geo, as it's called, you get these beautiful illustrations that, of course, have been researched very well from, you know, paintings or artwork or, needlework, excuse me. But the other thing, and I did mark the page, is because it's Nat Geo, you get these wonderful little fun facts. So in this story right here where skis are used, then we kind of get a quick little origin about skiing that relates to Norse mythology. And I just thought that was really neat. And in some way, some of the stories, it helped me understand them better as well. So moving along, we're going to our 7th through 12th group. And this is our first book, and it's a nonfiction book. And, oh, I'm sorry, I totally didn't mention some things. This is our nonfiction book for this group. I did mention this is our graphic novel for this group. And combination graphic novel, prose novel, and combination of prose and poetry literature. So, great. Moving on, like I said, to our 7th through 12th group. Our first book right here is our nonfiction book. It's called Transmission, My Quest to a Beard, by Alex Berti. He was born in England, born a girl, female, and when he was about 14, 15, realized that she, at the time, was really a transgender man, and over a period of 6 years went through the process of becoming, especially during the teenage years, process from female, transitioning from female to male. Alex, as he is now known, became a YouTube star talking about topics such as gender identity, sexuality, and transitioning. But Alex is kind of shown in this book each step of transition that he went through from female to male. And his ultimate goal was so eventually he could grow a facial beard. In this book is kind of a mixture of his personal story, but also general advice on transitioning. So very good, very popular on YouTube. So check it out. Our next book is Rani Patel in Full Effect. And if you notice, the author is Sonia Patel. This is our fiction book, but it's kind of also autobiography in a way. Sonia Patel is just like the main character. She is an American Indian woman, and or Indian American, I should say that, meaning her parents immigrated from the country of India, and but she grew up just like the main character in Hawaii. And it's interesting because she shows in this book that in Indian culture, you know, the husband is God, so her dad is kind of God in a sense of the household. And she discovers her dad is having an affair with her, you know, with a woman who's only a few years older than her. And she just feels crushed. She feels her whole world is devastated by this. And that as some Indian widows do, they shave their heads. So she shaves her head. And in doing that, she then embarks on a new sense of self-discovery. She finds a boy named Mark who shows her the underground hip-hop world in Hawaii. And at first, there are a lot of red flags, and you think, uh-oh, she's going to make some of these choices she's making are bad. But in a turn of events, it helps her actually, I don't want to spoil the ending, but it helps her discover strengths she never knew she had inside of her, as well as repairing relationships and restoring things that were once lost, like she thought she had lost a relationship with her mother, and instead, you know, begins to restore as they discover who they really are. So I just really dug it. I have a friend who's a DJ, and he's into hip-hop, and so I love that aspect of the book because it really does showcase the culture there. So, moving on, we've got my favorite, like I said, I'm a comic book guy, Black Widow Forever Read by Margaret Stahl. She is best known for her Beautiful Creatures books. In this, Black Widow rescues a young girl who was the daughter of a Russian physicist. And years later, the girl's living a normal life in Brooklyn, but all of a sudden, people start coming looking for her. And even though she always wanted to reconnect with the Black Widow, you know, who she views as a bigger sister, Black Widow's just not there because she's the best spy in the world, so she's off doing spy adventures. Anyway, they cross paths again because an old teacher of Black Widows is actually recruiting kids for diabolical purposes. Can't give too much away, it's a spy thriller. And she comes across Ava and realizes not only is Ava targeted, but Ava also might be the key into undoing what the teacher, Ivan, wants to do. So, very good. And then last but not least for our graphic novel is one of my personal favorites, Scott Pilgrim. And this one is Scott Pilgrim's Precious Little Life, or Precocious Little Life, excuse me. And it's volume 1 in the series. It's a 6-volume series. The movie, as most people know, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, is based on this series of graphic novels. I just think it's great. It's all based in Canada, beautifully illustrated and written by Brian Lee O'Malley. The thing I love about this version is it's all in color. So, and apparently my bookmark fell out, and there we go. Originally they were done in black and white. But the whole thing is Scott's a bassist in a band called Babam, and they're entering a contest called Battle of the Bands. And of course he meets a wonderful girl named Ramona and discovers in order to date Ramona, he must battle her evil exes, 7 evil exes. So definitely worth checking out, especially if you've seen the movie but haven't read the series. Anyway, looks like our time is up. I really appreciate you guys watching. Remember to tune into our Facebook page every Thursday at 2 p.m. for new videos, either from me or other staff members here at the Grandview Heights Public Library. And we hope you guys come and check these books out. And remember, you can request them using our app or going to our website, ghpl.org, and signing in with your library card and password, or calling into the library. All right.